So, yeah, Trump was dead right on that one.
Yeah.
Specifically, California.
Right. And I mean, is it going to stop it? No, it ain't going to stop it.
No, it'll help.
It will help out quite a bit.
It'll give you areas, at least, where you can get in there and do prescribed fire, where you might have a better shot of stopping the fire because it's an area that's already been burnt. So the fire's going to move. It's going to be a lot less intense in that area. Not going to say it won't burn because it very well can.
Right.
It happens. You'll have a fire, and then weeks later you'll have what we call reburn, where you'll have needle cast. Trees will either die or get so hot that they shed a lot of the needles. There's hot pockets that stay within that already burnt area, and weeks later it reignites because all those dead needles have now fallen.
Yeah. So when you're not, I mean, and I know you said that's like the majority of the job, and I assume you do a lot of brush clearing.
The majority of it's going to be through fire, yeah. As far as brush clearing or underbrushing or whatever, we do. There is some of that, but the majority of it's going to be through prescribed fire. That's our major way of doing fuel reduction. I mean, it's not just for fuel reduction. That's a part of it. Some of it's for wildlife habitat. I mean, you'll see it within a couple weeks of wildfire or prescribed fire. You start having new growth, and deer and turkey will be in there. Well, within days, actually, deer and turkey will be right back in there.
Yeah.
Part of it's curiosity for deer, but turkey will be back in there eating bugs and lizards and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, to grow, sometimes you gotta burn it down, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, kind of force it. This is kind of like how when you clip plants or whatever, they grow back.
Yeah, aggressive pruning.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, they grow back healthier. And that's part of it too, is you actually add nutrients back into the soil by burning a lot of that stuff. And you take out stuff that's more invasive. That's part of it. Or try to knock back those invasive species. So there's a lot.
I find that interesting because you talk about the nutrients in the soil, like the mix of carbon and nitrogen and all that kind of stuff in the soil. So I assume that there's somebody within forest management that has to think about that and what goes into the soil.
Yeah, to an extent. So private companies are going to be more and into amending soil, maybe trying to add physical nutrients to it.
Yeah.
State lands, no, we're not doing that. The only nutrients that are going to be added are going to be through what's naturally there. We're not, state lands. We're not doing it that way.
I know that they do it here around the trails and things like that. They do controlled burns, and they do it. I mean, pretty much every year, I think they do certain sections. And
we do thousands of acres a year all over. I mean, hundreds of thousands throughout the state probably, but just in my area, we do thousands a year.
And honestly, I don't think you can tell like a month later.
Yeah, it goes right back. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. So deciding to go to Montana, how is that? And it's not Montana every year, obviously. No. It's where they need you.
Yep. Yeah. So it just basically, they put together a 20-man roster called a hand crew. And it's males and females, mostly males, though. It's a male-dominated career field, obviously. Basically what you do is you put your name on a roster and say, or you put your name in a hat, basically, and say, hey, I'm available to go out wherever. And so when you're saying that, you're saying I have a month free, pretty much, where I can be sent out. And so from that, they form a roster, and then they send you all out together. It's totally optional. I do it because it's valuable experience. It's a good way to connect with other people in my career field, and it's a way for me to get some more money in my pocket.
Right. So when you go to a fire or a hot spot or a hot area? How does that work? Like, do you guys sleep out there?
Yeah. So you fly. Well, they like I said, they put together that hand crew, and we fly out. Got some coffee there.
Yes.
We'll fly all out together. Sometimes one plane, sometimes we multiple planes. Anyways, you get there, you get trucks. From there, you get a fire assignment, and you've got packed in. I actually take one of my old those green duffel bags. Have a tent, sleeping bag, roughly 2.5 weeks worth of clothing, because you got travel days in there. So once you get on the fire line, you can only be on the fire line. I say 14 days. You can extend up to 21, but typically it's pretty much always 14 days.
Yeah.
14 days, and then sleeping situations vary based on the fire. I mean, some fires you're going to be staying, half an hour or an hour away from the actual fire. Sometimes, I've had it where you're sleeping in what's called a safety zone. It's where a bulldozer has come in and pushed out an area down to bare dirt. And a true safety zone means that the fire could burn right over to you and
you're good.
You're good. Yeah. And you'll sleep in those safety zones, and you can see the fire, down the mountain from you, or you can see it across another mountain from you. This last trip, it wasn't like that. We were, good half hour at least away driving.
So you stay in tents the whole time?
Yep.
You're out there?
Well, other than traveling, you might get a night or two in a hotel through traveling and stuff. But once you get on the fire, you're in a tent the whole time. You got everybody as part of it. You buy your own tent, sleeping bags, all that kind of stuff. That's purchased through our own funds. And
gotcha. So how long are you out there total travel? About 3 weeks?
This trip was, I think, about 18 days, which is pretty typical. I mean, between travel, like I said, you'll be 14 days on the fire, and you end up with several days traveling between, because we go from everybody, you got them from all over the state of Florida, and they're not all actually wildland firefighters. Some of them sometimes will be structure firefighters who have a passion for going out west, traveling and getting on wildfires, stuff like that. Yeah. We'll all meet up in Brooksville. And then from Brooksville, we get on a bus. What you'll do is you'll get to Brooksville, we weigh our gear and everything. You kind of meet up, and then that following day, typically we all go to Tampa and we fly out from there. And then, that you're spending a whole day the next day traveling out west, wherever that may be.
Right.
And you don't know until you get to Brooksville pretty much where you're going to go. But even then, you don't know exactly where you're going to go. You know the state, but you don't know the fire. You don't know anything beyond that. And then, you spend a full day there. And then once you get to wherever you're going, then you got to get assigned to a fire. And that can take, sometimes it'd be right away, sometimes it'd be a day. So. Yeah. And then in reverse, it's basically the same thing on the way back.
So it's kind of like a deployment.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah. It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.